Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. October 5th, 2021. A beautiful Tuesday evening. I'm your host, Brock Fleming, and as usual, on the other side of me is P-Dog Cariotti. How you doing, Pep?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Well,
it's been a long...
So the Jays lost yesterday. Sad. It's they're out. We're going to discuss it today, but it was a long day. No Jays. We're excited for an AL showdown tonight, 8:00. Boston Yankees, wild card, 1-game play-in. Should be really exciting. We'll discuss it.
It's been a long...
Your Steelers lost.
Oh yeah.
Again?
They did not look good either. Same old problems plaguing them. So, bro, we're trying to keep a straight face when we play that song, kind of like the guy on Jimmy Fallon's musician dude there when he tries to keep his face straight from laughing. We just can't do it. We're gonna try our best moving forward here, but that song it's supposed to choke us up, not make us laugh.
My Gators lost to the University of Kentucky. My goodness, I just lost it there. I apologize.
That's an upset, eh? That's an upset.
It's an upset. Kentucky's good. Like, Kentucky was 4-0 at the time. They actually went from unranked to now they're ranked in the top 25. They're at 16, but they're, again, undefeated, a team that Florida has beaten in Kentucky 38 straight years in a row or something. And they came out, and Kentucky played really well. And shout out to one of my old teammates with the Alouettes, Anwar Stewart. He's the D-line coach for Kentucky. And, his guys came to play. Mm-hmm. They are actually really, really good in the box. And my glasses are fogging up even on this right now. But his guys were phenomenal. They were stopping the run, and they only had 5, maybe 6 in the box. So they did a lot of things right. A classic letdown by my Gators, right around that, Bama, they're getting ready for Georgia in a couple weeks. It's really easy to sort of like overlook some of these games, and it bit them in the butt. That being said, it was upset week. Oregon lost to Stanford. They dropped out. Syracuse lost to Florida State. Now, is that a huge upset? Florida State sucks. So the fact that they beat Syracuse, Cincinnati beat Notre Dame at home. Yeah, Cincinnati was ranked a little bit higher, but ultimately you beat Notre Dame.
It's a big win for Cincy. It's a big win.
Great. That's probably the biggest win in their, not franchise, but in their school history. Yeah. And now they're top 5. They're the 5th right now. And obviously Iowa and Penn State and they're playing this weekend, and it's actually going to be a number 3 versus number 4 matchup. So there's some really good football coming up, but there were some good upsets, and that's, again, why I love college football.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel the college football energy, only because, like you said, every game really counts, and one game can cost you your season, can cost you a chance to play for the title, and you don't see that in any other sport. Maybe outside of football, like every loss in the NFL really does matter, but not to the degree of not even close to the degree of college. But I think that's where baseball's history has always been like that, but that's where basketball and hockey really dropped the ball. I think when it comes to the importance of game 42, nobody cares. No one's going to go out and watch the Ottawa Senators on a cold, stormy February night to watch the Minnesota Wild come to town. Both teams under 500. No one's paying a dime for that because the game doesn't mean a thing. It's all about development, and these teams spin it and they paint it in such a way that, hey, come watch us. We'll entertain you with what? Spartacat? with
Start a cat.
some shirtless gladiator whose microphone keeps cutting out. Like, the games don't matter halfway through the season when a team is out of it. That's what I find disappointing. At least in college, if a team is like 3-3 and they walk into LSU and beat LSU and wipe them clean, that's a huge win for that franchise.
Huge.
Or for that school. So they're playing for something.
Huge
anyway.
win. They could play spoiler.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Yeah.
The only thing that gets me to a Sens game, 3 words: submarine bazooka. You start boom, those big foot-long subs, 18 rows up. Yeah,
look,
sign me up.
We should be supporting our local sports teams, in terms of attendance. And I'm all for. If you like hockey, go spend your money on the Sens. There's worse things to spend your money on. Spend your money on local.
If you
go
like
see the Red Blacks.
Spend it.
But I mean, I don't. I'm not entertained unless the Habs are in town, a team that I root for, or if it's the blue team versus Ottawa, maybe. Maybe a Calgary or Edmonton, something like that. But I'm not going to see Minnesota Wild. I'm not going to go see the Columbus Blue Jackets unless it's free. Like, honestly. So, yeah. Anyway. It's a tough weekend, guys.
It's been a long
I coached football today, and we had our first game, 10 o'clock in the morning. And we got our butts handed to us.
Yeah, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
St. Joe's. I was working with Val St. Germain, and I were doing the O-line.
Oh,
And,
love Val.
Val's kid, actually, is grade 9, is the starting quarterback. We played St. Mark's, I think, out of Manotick, and they're a senior team, I think. I think they're all grade 11 and 12s. And Ashton, who's the starting quarterback, is a grade 9. Anyway, we put up a decent fight, but it was it was not pretty.
It's overmatched. Val St. Germain, in case that name sounds familiar to our listeners, he did play for the Ottawa Renegades for a few years. I think he bounced around Hamilton. Yeah,
Warfighters. He's got a couple great cup rings there hanging around.
You know what? He had a good long career, and a guy that I think if most people see in the public who followed CFL through the 2000s, he's easily recognizable and a happy guy.
Yeah, he's got a monster noggin. It's easy to pick that out. Anyway, so that's
all right.
That's the end of the. Hey, did we just get? I think we just got this in. Mike Ferreira just told us about a show coming out that we should check out. The Sopranos, apparently, the TV series is starting on HBO sometime 20 years ago. Anyway, this just in. Okay, so
Mike Ferreira, for those of you who are listening, is one of our followers, and he's notorious. God bless him. He's a busy guy. God bless him. But he's notorious for sharing a story that may have happened a few days prior that I think that most of us are already all aware of. But that's okay. It's all good, Mikey. You know what? Shoot your shots. And if maybe somebody didn't know, hey, maybe nobody knew that Pacquiao had retired. I didn't know.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali retired too. But anyway.
God bless you, Mikey. I hope you're not listening right now.
Okay,
all
let's
right.
get into the Jays talk.
Let us. All right.
I don't need to do the sad music again, do I?
Of course you do, because
yeah.
You're bringing in Mike, aren't you?
That's right. I'm going to bring you in, Mikey.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long
one for the homies.
Somber day, gentlemen.
Somber day.
Hey,
Mikey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Good. You guys?
Well, very well. We're glad that you're here to talk little Jays with us, because it was
Post-mortem.
Hey, man, it was tough. I had a bad feeling about the weekend, despite the fact that the Jays destroyed the Orioles. I just you hate relying on other teams to get you in. In any sport, and that's the Jays. When they went 500 against the Twins, and when they lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, they just set themselves up to have to rely on these 2 other teams to lose, and you just can't do that. It's a learning situation. I don't think they. I just don't think they stepped up to the plate, no pun intended, when they had to. And it's sad, man. I just feel like the season's incomplete. I feel like there should be more games. And we'll talk about, some of the impact of not playing at their home, how that happened, how that impacted their season. But Joe Sedal. I'm not sure if you saw the post game. Immediately after they found out that the Red Sox had won, very emotional about it, and it was actually it choked me up because it caught me off guard. Joe Sedal is the Blue Jays.
It's fitting. It's fitting.
It is fitting. Where is Joe when we need him? Former MLB player and Blue Jay analyst, post-game analyst. He got choked up. So I think we all feel the same way Joe did, don't you think?
I'm feeling that way now, just with that music. No, I think too when you're that close as he is to the team, like he saw the behind the scenes stuff, and like they never used the lack of a home stadium as an excuse, but I mean you can imagine, yeah, and you can imagine after half a year playing all over Florida, Buffalo, and sort of never knowing month to month where you're going to be, that it would take a toll. And you're living out of a suitcase. Your road games feel like, or your home games rather feel like road games. Yeah. So yeah, it's got to be brutal. And I think it was like something like their win percentage was 700 at home, and I forget what it was at either.
Just
the other ones were close to 500, and they were like 24-11 at home.
Yeah, they were a game under 500 at Salem, and I think 2 games over 500 in Dunedin or something, maybe vice versa. But for sure, they were 500 ball on at those 2 venues anyway.
Yeah, so add that on top of playing in the AL East and all the other things that go with a 162 game schedule. Like they had by far the toughest year.
Brock, what was your immediate reaction when you found out Boston had come back and won and eliminated the Jays? What was your immediate reaction? Sadness?
Yeah. Now,
shock.
Curtis had come over. We were flipping through all the games, and what was disappointing was that there was so many little glimpses of hope. You know what I mean? Going up 5-1, and then you're watching, Zimmerman's last game with the Nationals, who gets up to the plate with bases loaded twice. You're like, come on, bud, your family's here. Let's do something. He walked one, great, but let's do something. Wipe the tears away, literally out of his first at bat, and let's go. Because at that point, I'm cheering for the Jays. I need them to beat the Red Sox. But you can kind of, as you're watching those games, and we started paying more attention to the Yankees and Red Sox because the Jays had it in the bag, you can feel the energy sort of shifting. And it wasn't a spontaneous thing for me. We knew it was coming, that Boston was going to win. And at that point, the Yankees had just walked off too. Although right up to the last at bat with the Rays and Yankees, it was next run wins. And it could have been anything, but do I agree with some of the decisions that the Rays had done at the in the 9th inning there with the what's his name?
Judge.
He said Jeter. Judge. You say, why don't you put him on? Why don't you Anyway, it just fell into it, and we were out. But I saw it kind of coming, and like you said, it's out of our control, and that's the worst feeling you can have. I mean, from a Blue Jays perspective, you want to have control of it, and as a fan, you want to say, okay, hey, we can win this and earn our way in. It would be backdooring it anyway, but still, it was.
I thought the Rays did everything they could to help the Jays. I mean, the Rays don't like the Yankees. Charlie Montoyo has a connection with Cash and the Rays organization. I thought the Rays, they did what they had to do. They took the first 2, and they almost stole the whole series. I mean, they couldn't do any more for the Jays rather than sweep the Yankees. And again, relying on the teams to win, it just sucks. I want to talk about this.
I'll say the last footage of seeing Marcus Semien in the jersey, that was where I was kind of disappointed. I had the emotion. This is likely the last time we're going to see him in a Blue Jay uniform. I know he was only there for a year, but I think he's an integral part of it. We'll discuss this later on. But that was, for me, I don't know. It brought me back to the Donaldsons and Encarnaciones and Bautistas and all that kind of stuff where you sort of know it's the end.
Potentially. But I found there was more finality with those guys than there is with Semien. I think Semien's literally a 50-50 in my opinion. I have no idea what he's going to do. When you have success, when you play in a team that protects you in the lineup, there's value to that. what someone team gonna pay him, 22 million to play second base and slot him in the 3 spot and not surround him with good players? I mean, he has to think about himself too. And I don't think this is his last payday. He's still young enough to have another payday after this next contract. So he has to think about it long term and short term. But the negatives for this year, in my opinion, were what we discussed. No official home. I thought that was really a big deal. And they, like we said, they played 500 ball in those first 2 venues, and they played Rocky said 700 ball.
24 and 11, so whatever that works out to.
Wow, that's a huge difference. And they went on a 7-0 run, I think, there when they first got to the Dome, and I thought that was a big deal. Mike, they lost too many winnable games in the first half of the season.
Yep.
And that comes back to haunt them. It comes back to haunt them, and we talk about it like, they're 42-4. Yeah, they can still come out of this and dig out, but the damage is done. Those games are valuable games. They could have easily won 100 games this year.
Oh yeah. You're right. They blew some games that they had in their grasp. And I'm talking bullpen there. Before they showed up the bullpen, and then their extra inning efficiency was horrible. You'd think a team that
it's bad.
That talented offensively, if you give them a guy on second, they should be automatically getting one, and then it's talk of how many more are they going to get. Where they struggled. They were horrible. I don't know. I think their record in extra innings was like 2 and something. And they played quite a few games over the course of the season. So in extra innings. So that is another one where those are obviously close games. You're going to extras, and you're losing them with coming away. And I think it was like 13. The number of games. I could be mistaken, but
that's typical for the Blue Jays over the last couple of years, where I talk about it, the aggressiveness, the manufacturing a run when you need it, and that translates to this extra innings type stuff. It's the close games and extra innings, and now we have a guy on second, so we should be even more aggressive to manufacture those runs. And I feel like that's the one aspect that, although later in the season I found they were figuring it out a bit, early in the year they weren't, and I vented about that a few times on the show about their lack of ability to manufacture the runs when need to. I also said the Rays were really good at it, and then I watched them against the Yankees, and I said manufacture a damn run, and they didn't do it.
You know what though, you bring up a great point in the ability to get a runner to third. At the very least you should score 1 in extra innings at the very least.
He's in scoring position.
And we saw Teoscar Hernandez, the maturity of his game over the course of this season, in the last couple of seasons, but this season, rather than going for the fences every single time, in that last series against the Orioles, he went opposite field a couple of times. He just went with the pitch rather than trying to destroy it. And I thought the team as a whole matured a lot. Too little, too late. But I really thought that the team really matured a lot over the course of the season when it came to those things, manufacturing runs, getting players over. I like the aggressiveness. I thought there were too many dumb aggressive plays early on, but they really became smarter with their aggression in the playoffs. So anyway, look, cue the music.
Which one? All right, here we go.
That split. I gotta wait for the words to come out first. That split with Minnesota, Mike, losing 2. That it was a 4-game series. They lost 2, they won 2. Followed by I think they just destroyed the Orioles, but then they lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. I mean, that really sealed their fate. I thought, didn't you think?
To me, it was more the Yankee series. That would have been circled on my calendar if I'm the Blue Jays to send a message for the postseason and to the AL, the entire AL. So I was a little disappointed with the way they played in that series. The third game sort of slipped away, but you don't want to let it get to a third game. You want to go in there 2-0, in my opinion. But now you might have a good point. Like maybe by that point, at that point I think it was still in their control because they could. At that point, they controlled their own fate. So Minnesota didn't help for sure. And there were times like that. Like there one West Coast swing where they played L.A. and Seattle and Oakland maybe. But
and they took a thumping.
they went out there and they couldn't hit, they couldn't do anything. I think they lost like 6 or 7 or something. And it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were definitely times in the year like that, and they certainly didn't pick them well because they were all games that they should win, and they sort of by that point needed to.
And you look at all those top teams in the AL East outside of the Rays, they all went through 9-10 game losing streaks. So the Jays, we're not dumping on the Jays. I think everybody has a problem with losing streaks over the course of a long season. But I just thought that if you just get 1 or 2 of these games, you don't have to go on 10-game winning streaks every single month. But if you grab 1 or 2 of these winnable games, clearly it'll make a difference at the end, and it would have been all the difference, really. So tough one. I thought
it's not a big learning lesson for the young guys now.
100%.
Exactly 100%. What you're saying now, but before it was like, oh, we can catch up, or hey, now you're seeing that you guys missed out on half the game that you guys could have saved somewhere during the season. So let's smarten up and let's finish what we start in these games.
Absolutely.
I think part of it too is they had to figure out their identity. Like we talked about the bullpen struggles, and Rocky was saying their aggressiveness and getting runs in at certain points. I think part of that is figuring out who they were, where their strengths were, and by the end of the year they had it, and now it's a process of maturing and being more consistent.
I thought it took them too long to get their third base situation under control. Espinal looked really nice. Valera came in, played good. But it took too long, and had the Biggio experiment. I don't know if it was successful, he was clearly hurt. So do we give him another opportunity there? Because I like Biggio. I mean, he came out the other day. He was 3 for 4, and he looked amazing. But again, it's one game. I thought they took too long to settle their
20 games rest.
Oh yeah, he was fresh as a daisy
for like months.
But they took too long to get that situation under control and their catching situation. I thought the catching by committee, it worked okay. But, it was too bad that Danny got hurt so early, because clearly he separated himself from the other 2 guys I found in the last month and a half.
Yeah, whether he can do it over the whole season, and that's the same with the question with Biggio, is more defensively, can he play third well? Those 2 questions I think I think everything else was sort of figured out. Like Espinal, he can hit at the major league level. So that was the concern, I think, with putting him at third, and why they looked elsewhere in Bravich and Biggio. But he seemed like he hit over 300, in a smaller role, but not limited by any means.
Has he earned the right to play next year, third base, to start the season?
Question. That's the question, is if Semien walks and signs elsewhere and they can't bring him back, you've got Biggio, your second baseman, I think, and who's better defensively there. He's sort of a known commodity. And do you go with Espinal, or do you try and get a free agent, or, so those are the questions that they've got to face now. I think it's an excellent fallback, both those guys at those positions. So if you don't do anything, if you strictly look at pitching and try and address that, you're not in a bad situation. And then you've got till mid-year to make a trade, if worst case.
So what are you doing? Your gut feeling. You have control. What are you doing?
I try and get Semien back because to lose that offense, what he did, not saying he'd be the same hitter next year. He might have a drop-off. He might, the average might come down, the homers. But to lose that much offense is going to hurt any team. And he protects, I think Tav said earlier, he protects the leadoff. And I just think, and defensively, you could argue he's a Gold Glover. The occasional bad plays, but and the leadership role, of course, the intangibles. But so I try and bring him back. But having said that, it's and there's also the other thing working for the Jays is the number of middle infielders available this year through free agency. Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Javi Baez. These guys are all in his realm. So maybe the market's a little watered down and you can get them somewhat cheaper. I doubt it, but I try and do that. But the bigger priority to me is pitching. So I sort of circle Semien and say, look, we'll target him and work on addressing both the starting rotation and the bullpen.
And another thing that they dealt with this year, my last negative was the bullpen injuries. They signed Kirby Yates 1 year, $5 million. He literally didn't play. Did he even play a game, or did he got hurt in the preseason in the Grapefruit League?
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be their closer. That didn't work out. Jordan Romano stepped up to the plate. I thought he did an amazing job. He's got the character for it. He's got the velocity. He's got a couple of pitches in his arsenal. But, I mean, they dealt with some injuries mid-season, and they addressed it. That's great. I mean, for a while we were going with Tyler Chatwood and Delise and all these other stiffs. But, by bringing in Soria and, seeing Tim Meza, work his way into a very effective left-handed reliever. And then, we talk about Romano and Nate Pearson. I mean, their bullpen did a great job second half, but I thought the injuries early on cost them some games.
Yeah, definitely. I think it did. And, Merriweather started the season lights out. The other fellow was a little guy who was
Chatwood?
automatic.
Was it Tyler Chatwood?
No. I'll find it out there. But and he was automatic. You'd bring him in a one-run.
Phelps,
yeah.
He's a free agent. He's
he
one of their
is.
free agents. Yeah.
And he was pitching lights out, I think, until June, and he went down. So, it's one of those things that injuries are going to happen. You hope they're not that long. Like Merriweather was out, he came back in September, but missed the majority of the season, obviously. And those things are happening. They did address it. Was it too little, too late? Probably.
500 at the midway point, it's tough.
Yeah. And there was a period where the press was grilling Montoya, and he said, look, I can only put out there the guys that I have.
Yeah.
So, they were all equally crappy, and it's like pick your poison. So.
Well, Brock's favorite reliever is Delise, right, Brock?
For sure. Well, it's good because I can catch up on episodes of things in between his pitches.
He's right. Brock's favorite because Brock could put in a roast and he'd be done by the time he was finished.
Well, hey, let's quickly go over some positives this year. The homers. I mean, the all-time record for the Blue Jays in home runs. I mean, incredible. 7 guys with 20 or more. They had 3 guys with 40, 2 guys with 40, and 2 other guys with 30. And it was incredible to watch them hit the ball. Vladdy looked amazing. I thought the team got smarter on the bases as the season went on. You could be aggressive, but you still can be smart. And I thought they got a lot smarter. Hitting with Brock mentioned it, hitting with runners in scoring position, I thought was much improved. Again, they just took advantage of bad Oriole teams, though. I mean, I thought that when they played the really good teams, we saw some of those old habits creep in, not being able to move the runner over and stuff. But, I mean, They were shelling the Orioles.
I did find they did a better job of still hitting the home run, but minimizing the times where they actually are just up at the plate waiting to hit a home run, which was back kind of circa 2015, 16, that kind of range where every time somebody's on, hey, we're not stealing, not whatever, because this guy's going to hit a jack. Okay, he struck out. This guy's going to hit a jack. And it was just waiting. And I felt like the guys were a little bit better at getting the bat on the ball and trying to get the ball in play somewhere so that something happens as opposed to a home run or a strikeout. And that's what I could appreciate a little bit more from this Blue Jay team and sort of the maturity or their abilities maybe just being a little bit better than what we'd seen in the past.
Yeah, I think they definitely had the pad your stats night where they'd go up looking to hit a home run when they're already up 8-0 or something.
Absolutely.
But I find they're better situational hitters, and they make in-game adjustments a little better where they will shorten up their swing. If they're struggling against a guy. So yeah, that's and Brock's right. It was I think 2016 or whatever where almost all their offense came from home runs. It was the long ball or feast or famine. So and they're a team, and hopefully it just continues from there and they get better and better.
And we talked about their defense overall got much better after the second half when they solidified, where they're going to play, basically. We have to talk about 2 things, I think, that are really, really important in terms of positives this year. The Vladdy experiment at first was a huge success. There was a lot of speculation. Oh, we're moving him. He's just a kid, and it's going to affect his. No, he was a goal. He potentially a Gold Glover at first base. He was awesome.
Yeah, very, very much so. And he should be the poster kid for doing the off-season work. Like, you put the work in, just look what happened. he went from being not a bust, but he definitely wasn't living up to the hype, and to a guy that is MVP caliber. So yeah, he like as you say, he completely did everything he was asked to do on both sides of the ball.
I think I signed up for Vladdy's workout app that comes out in a couple of weeks.
Hey, listen, he looked happy at first.
He looked happy.
All this talk, all this, but all this talk about him moving to first, and he's not going to like it, and he wants to play through that. He looked happy there. Like, I mean, first base is a great place to play. I mean, you're a hero if you scoop the ball, and then it's the third base guy's fault if he bounces it into the stand. So I mean, it's your win-win at first, 9 times out of 10.
Plus, Vladdy's a character guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's got some individuality, so he gets a chance to
100%.
Socialize on first and little things here and there or whatever. I think he really likes that. So he may not have, I don't know, maybe he didn't experience first before, but I think, like you said, he fits that first base position perfectly.
And I think the second most important thing, actually, this probably be the first most important thing in terms of a positive that the Jays can take back this year, is that, and I'll throw the Rays into this mix, I think the Jays had the best starting pitching in the American League.
Yeah, once they figured out their starters. Yeah.
Oh, when they acquired Barrios, it made them legit. Like Ryu, Barrios, Ray, Manoah came out of nowhere, and then you're throwing in Steven Matz, who had a great start to his year as your 5th starter. Is pretty good.
Yeah, he finished the season strong too. He just had a great.
And then Stripling came in, and Stripling came in, did a good job when he had to. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about next year, and we'll get into right now. We'll quickly get into the next season's priorities, guys. What are they going to do with Big Nate?
No,
or what should they do with Big Nate?
But I don't know. Like, he looks good when he comes out. Like, lately, he's looked pretty good. So, but did he just play himself into like a mid reliever sort of role, or is he still a guy that is young enough to say, you know what, we're going to go back now that you're healthy, and maybe now you're part of the rotation depending on who we sign and who we don't sign, and say now you're back in that starting role.
Mike,
I think you bring him to spring training and you say, you're at a critical point here where you're going to define your future. So have an off season like Vladdy, and if you want the starter's role, you come in, you work, and we'll definitely give you that opportunity. Having said that, they're going to go out and acquire guys. I think that's a priority for them. So he'll be competing, and where he's best suited, they'll figure that out. There'll also be a period of stretching him out because he just doesn't have the innings pitched to go from what he did this year to starting
at 6 or 7.
So there'll be an adjustment period there too, or maybe they shut him down for a bit, or again depending what his role is. But having said that, I leave it up to him to pave his own way.
Well, he's clearly in shape. He looked good on the mound when he came out. He's visibly smaller, I guess, with a little more lean muscle. The guy clearly has put in some work in the weight room. And he topped 102 miles per hour. He threw the fastest pitch in Blue Jays history a couple nights ago. Mind you, he's coming out of the pen and he's got nothing to lose. But he looked good. I think you got to give him an opportunity. Prior to Guerrero coming up, being called up, we were talking about Nate Person as the blue chipper, as the prospect to look out for. So
is Manoah not the best thing to happen to Nate in terms of that pressure?
Yeah,
and you know what? Yeah, I'm the face. Maybe there's that extra. Extra added pressure, stress about how he's going to play it, and carrying that franchise and whatever. Manoah comes in, pitches pretty damn good, and now, Nate's almost like an afterthought. Vladdy's producing, Manoah's there. Now he can just kind of come in and say, you know what? It's not, the focus is not all on me being the savior. I can just come in and do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah,
and maybe he's a guy that. Responds to that a bit more, or maybe it's the extra challenge of saying, well, now Manoah's doing it, so I'm going to follow his lead, as opposed to having that kind of shell-struck sort of rookie coming into the league mentality and say he's doing it, so I can follow that lead or whatever.
I think it's more the last point you made. It's more of a watch and learn kind of thing. Because Manoah doesn't back down. He attacks the zone. He goes right after batters, and that's what Pearson has to do. And he was doing it in the relief role. He was throwing his heat and saying, "Hit this!" Like, and that's what he's got to do. Get ahead of batters and just go right after them. Don't be intimidated.
Hey, listen. The summer before the pandemic, we talked about what to look forward to for the Jays, and we mentioned Manoah as a he was only playing an A ball at the time. We mentioned Manoah and Pearson and how good will they look as 1 and 1A, 2-3 years from now. Well, the future is right now. Like, I mean, this could be if Pearson develops any kind of anything. I mean, this is like the wild card to make the Jays really, really good. So we'll see what happens. Let's get right to the main question of the day that everyone's been talking about. So it's going to cost the Jays probably $21 million to re-sign Marcus Semien over the course of a couple of years, 3-4 year contract. I don't know what he's looking for. He made 1 year, $18 million this year. The market value for a second baseman is about 19.5. He's over the market with his year this year. I mean, he earned whatever he's going to make. Do the Jays spend all their assets on bringing back a guy like Semien, who really just bet on himself this year, or do they spread the wealth and hope to re-sign Ray? Who's more important to re-sign? If they had to choose one, Ricky Ray or Marcus Semien?
I'd go with Robbie Ray. I address the pitching first.
Did I say Ricky Ray? Did I say Ricky Ray?
Yeah. Why they need a quarterback coach?
He comes in cheap though, at a $350,000 or something like that.
Red Blacks would be good. Okay.
But
Robbie Ray.
I go with him because the season he had, it's a Cy Young season. And as I say, there's other options to Semien. It's a fairly significant drop off, but there are other guys that you can put in there or go out and try and acquire. But and then, like I say, worst case, you're going to try and address that midway through the year through trade if something's not working out.
Brock?
No, I'm all on Semien. I think that's where we go for. He has a lot more time left, I think, in the league and at that potentially high level. He brings and solidifies that infield. He's a guy that the young guys can look up to and still follow. He messages really well within the clubhouse. He's not in the, in the dugout or in the, what was it called? For the pitchers warm up. Bullpen. I mean, Robbie Ray's not in the bullpen either. Anyway, Pete Walker took this Robbie Ray guy, said, we're going to tighten your pants up and fix you. And that's what he did. So is he an anomaly? Is he the only guy out there that can do that? No, I think we can get some others. I think if Nate comes through, you can address, maybe find another diamond in the rough that Walker can kind of work with and go from there. I think Robbie Ray is going to get paid. He's going to have that. If we owned him, I'd say let's trade him and sell him high because I just don't know, does he last that long? Semien is a guy who comes in. He's going to be the most effective with the Toronto Blue Jays in the lineup that we have because his success and, like you said, his bat is protected by, a plethora of other players who are dangerous at the plate. So that's where he's going to excel. But he also meshes really well with that infield and those young groups, and I think that that's the key. So for me, I'm going Marcus Semien, and I'll look for trying to find the next, Robbie Ray project that we can get. But we have some really good arms to start off with.
Well, Robbie Ray made $8 million this year in his final year of the contract, and the market for a left-handed starter is about 18. So, can they realistically sign these two guys at 8? Let's say Robbie Ray goes for market value, 18 mil and 20 mil. Can they afford these guys for 3-4 year contracts together?
Yeah. Rogers made so much money over this pandemic.
Why wouldn't they bring them both back? Why couldn't they? Is there a cap in baseball?
I think if there is, but it's you're not held to it. Like there's a luxury tax or whatever you pay when you go over. But having said that, they could probably do it. I don't see why not. Like Brock said, it's $1 billion company. Oh, my money.
I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys. Like, dish it out. This window is going to be for the next 3, 4, 5 years potentially. until you got to
Yes.
start paying Bichette and Guerrero, and you got to
Right.
start making some really hard decisions.
And that's the key.
Gurriel and Teoscar.
I think I'm biased, but I think they're the second best team in the AL East, anyways, for sure. So your window is now. You sign these guys to compete next year, and like I say, I think they've sort of figured out their identity and figured out who they are and what they need to do to win. So next year should be a lot more of the 700 baseball as opposed to the start of the season.
Well, let's hope
The window is now.
Yes.
The young guys are under contract and playing well and starting to come together. There is a chance that within the next couple of years, Canada gets a second team as well. In which case, if you're Rogers, you say, you know what, let's capitalize at this particular moment, getting this team that has all the talent, put a couple pieces around and say, let's see what happens with a full season from home. They've already shown what they can do. Get a couple other pieces and say, let's try and make that World Series now, because we still have the backing of a full country. We don't have any splits to say, all the Expo fans are back and now they want to see them and they're not coming. You know what I mean? Like there's the support from a whole nation. Let's just take advantage of that now.
Re-sign the guys. Re-sign Ray. He balances the starting lineup. It's awesome. You got lefty, righty, lefty, right. Like it's perfect. Bring these guys back. Go out and get Correa. Spend the money because you know this is going to be short-term financial pain for long-term gain. You're going to have fans paying top dollar to see this team. Look what the Yankees field. Their entire lineup outside of Gio Urshela is an all-star. They spend the money. People come and watch. They'll spend big cash. Rogers you can't be cheap now. If they go the other direction, they might lose guys like me as a fan if they go cheap.
Well,
and
that's the flip side of the equation is that you don't want these guys signing for your competitors. So you don't want to go into a 3-game series and have to pitch the semi in all 3 games. So there's that incentive as well to re-sign these guys and rather have them playing for you than someone else.
Brock, you wrote. I'm just reading my notes here. You wrote. Was it you that wrote maybe Donaldson an option at third?
Yeah, I really like Donaldson. I miss him. I really like his. I don't know. I liked the way he treated Vladdy and the Jays. How he talked about Toronto. How his wife and kid, like he still has a house in Toronto. He still, you know what I mean. He still has a love of Toronto and his time as a Blue Jay and all that kind of stuff. And to me,
he's a good defensive player too.
A great defensive player. He's on the older end, but
you need those guys.
Good mix. You throw a couple of those old guys into a dugout that is full of young, vibrant players that are looking for that next step, and you bring a guy like that in who might be able to solidify that defensive position at third for a while. And I just think he's a guy you jump at if there's an opportunity. So I put that in there because to me, again, the third base is always something that we've been talking about. I think Espinal's done a great job. And I think he's also probably earned a shot at competing for it.
Yeah.
But a guy like Donaldson who may want that like come back, hometown discount, sort of whatever. And he's not going to be the same cost as some of the other guys would be looking at. I think he would fit in really well.
Yeah, and these guys protect each other in the lineup, and Simeon's going to make a huge mistake if he goes somewhere else without the kind of lineup that he sees with the Jays, because he got pitches to hit, and it's not going to happen that way. And if Donaldson came back, you imagine throwing Donaldson at the 7 or 8 spot, like it's crazy, But totally affordable. And another guy that came up today, Mike, was Marcus Stroman. He mentioned he had said something in the media about I would not shy away from a reunion. What do you think about a guy like that? Sorry, we're running out of time here with the Jays, but
yeah, and I'll keep it brief. I wouldn't sign either guy. Donaldson.
Oh, okay, all right.
Donaldson or Stroman. Okay. You just went with, and that's it, fellas. I'll see you later.
All right, and you guys are idiots. Bye.
No, to me, the thing about the Jays right now is the chemistry. The chemistry is so good. You don't want to rock that boat, and those are 2 big personalities. So
Stroman's a big personality, and I totally agree with you. And that would be my one downfall with Stroman. Again, I was a fan of Stroman when he was with the Jay, but his character and stuff may not mesh with the way that the Blue Jays aura right now, kind of thing.
He's very much.
How cool would it be to see Manoah and Stroman on back-to-back nights? That'd be pretty cool.
Like Manoah's like that guy that seems he's on the cusp of like losing his marbles sometimes and like getting too far into it, and Strowman would be like, yeah, go get him. He'd be like that little guy, like, yeah,
I like it.
Hit him.
I like it.
I think too. We only saw the tip of the iceberg with Manoah. I think there'll be, as he gets
more comfortable,
better, and challenged more. Yeah, and more comfortable.
I think he beamed guys. He beamed a couple of guys in the last month and a half with
He has history with Baltimore.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
The Donaldson thing for me, there's enough out there, info out there that sort of leads you to believe that. Now, having said that, there's the opposite info too, where I know there was a guy that lost his job covering the Jays, and Donaldson reached out to him. Didn't have to do that. You know, he no longer played for the Blue Jays at that point.
Yeah.
To say, hey, that's too bad. I heard
the other news.
There was an article from an old teammate that, he was mentioned talking about Donaldson and said, no, that's not a guy you want on your team and whatnot.
Was that a Blue Jays teammate?
Yeah, he was teammates with him in the Jays. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was Tapera, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Who? Get out of here. Let's get Donaldson back in here.
The other thing with Donaldson coming back with the whole trade of jerseys thing, it seemed like a guy who didn't have a place to call home anymore. Does
Donaldson?
That make sense? Yeah. So he's like, it was almost like I have no friends because I alienated myself from everybody's. Cue up the music. I have no friends. I can't find anywhere to play. No one will play with me. So I'm going to trade jerseys.
It's been a long day.
Going.
Oh, I can't talk over the audio. the vocals.
Let's put him in the spotlight. Oh man! Hey, listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other FAs that the Rays, the Jays have to make decisions on. Steven Matz, 1 year, $5 million, took a chance on him. Sign him. Corey Dickerson, he was making $9 million this year. I don't think he'll make that much, but he was he played really well.
Sign him.
They're better
for $9 million.
They need left-handed bats.
He's not getting $9 million. You say he's not going to get $9 million.
He's not going to. He signed for 9.5. I mean, I don't know who paid him that, but hey, he was excellent. Kirby Yates, you even sniff him back if he's healthy. No, okay. And then there's we got Joaquim Soria, who's going to be 100 years old. Rafael Dolis and Jared Dyson. Those are the other free agents that the Jays have to make some decisions on.
No. And I think you said Kirk. No.
Kirk is not a free agent, but you're not a fan. Anyway, that's our Blue Jays postmortem 2021 season. I'm so sad that we're not going to be talking about some playoff baseball with them, but it is what it is. I'm cheering for the Sox because I hate the Yankees. I'm not a huge fan of the Sox either, but I know enough great guys who like the Sox that I'm going to cheer for them tonight.
Ooh, that was a straight shot to anybody you know who's a Yankee fan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. My friends that I like better, like about.
So I want to thank. Let's thank producer Mike for checking in and his valuable input. Always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, folks.
Who do you got, Mike?
Tonight's game?
Yeah.
I will go with the Yankees just based on Garrett Cole.
Because you have friends like Yankees.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched well, though. He hasn't pitched well.
He's a gamer. He'll get up for it.
Okay, in my opinion.
That was Mike.
We got a new counter.
Do I have it? Did I say that?
You said it a couple times, and I was trying to get you to say it another time just to bring it up, but in my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, I'm signing
out.
All right, my friend.
All right.
All right, Brock. Cue up the NFL. We're going to talk quickly NFL to end the show here.
The NFL.
Dun, dun, dun. God, I love this. Hey, Urban Meyer, great job, buddy. What a tire fire in Jacksonville. Let me quickly break this down for you, Brock. He didn't fly back with the Jags after they lost to Cincy. Rather than that, he decided to stay where he was, and he wore his Ohio State gear to a bar.
Not to a bar, to his own Urban Meyer Steakhouse.
Oh, is that what it was?
Urban Meyer something. Yeah, it's his restaurant.
And he got caught hanging out with some young girl who decided there's some video of him grinding up against them. I'm not sure if he knew her or not, or if there was a setup. And then the worst part about it is when they called him on it the next day, he lied about the whole thing. And now the owner came out and said our coach has a lot of trust building to do with our team and our organization. Is that just like fancy talk for like we're just got to figure out a way to fire this guy?
That's just fancy talk to protect the owner's
ass
to a point. You know what I mean? Like it's just to protect his look. You know what I mean? Like what people think of him. Oh yeah, gotta. He doesn't care. What he wants is wins or losses. If Urban Meyer is winning, he is not getting fired because some college student was using his lap and she thought it was a bar stool. Whatever. Now
he didn't look too unhappy though. I don't think.
You know, there are owners. You know, Urban Meyer, I think, is welcome in the Robert Kraft one because that's right up his alley. You know, but he's not getting rid of Belichick right now because he's winning.
I'm not. I don't want to unfairly dump on Urban Meyer because I'm sure this kind of stuff happens everywhere all the time. He just got caught. But when you're a rookie coach, it's just a bad look. You know, it's just a bad look. If they're a young team, they're impressionable, and did you anticipate him not having this kind of early success with the young team? Was it because of the franchise is so bad, or as a college coach, do you think he'd come in and maybe have a bit more success? Or is the jury still out?
I mean, the jury's out. I thought Jacksonville played pretty well against Cincinnati.
Hey, but they were up 14-0.
Well, that's pretty well. These are professionals. These are, you know, he's got a team that is led by a very young quarterback, first year.
Who I really like, by the way.
Yeah, their second pick, you know, is on the IR all season. So that was supposed to be, you know, somebody to really boost their backfield.
Etienne?
Yeah. And, you know, it's, I don't know. I think it'd be unfair to sort of judge him on the first year. It's to be expected. You're going to have road bumps like that. And then he's a college coach coming to the NFL, which history has said is not the easiest thing to do. I mean, the greatest college football coach in history, Chris Couture, I'll say it, fine. The best college coach did not do that great in the NFL either.
He was not very good.
You know, so it's a total different game. College is all about recruiting. You pick your players or whatever. You know, when you're coaching in the NFL, like your GM, he's a rookie guy. The GM's making those calls for the most part. Like he's the one that determines whether or not you're getting a player. Can you afford them? Can you whatever? It's not just recruiting the best players and making the best out of what you have. Everybody's good in the NFL, and it's just a matter of, you know, can you talk to them? These pros, when he says, he owes an apology to the team and stuff like that, these guys don't care what the coach does on his own time. I really don't believe they do. As long as
do you like Urban Meyer?
I have a love-hate relationship with Urban Meyer. You know, he brought me a lot of joy about 15 years ago. And then a lot of misery where he left us high and dry. I honestly believe Urban Meyer is one of the best recruiters in college football. And I think Florida is where Alabama is right now if Urban Meyer had stayed with Florida. Won 2 national championships in like the span of 3 years. They were recruiting at a very high level. Mm-hmm. You know, if he was able to control his guys a little bit better, you know, maybe it's the disciplinarian type thing that Saban has. I don't know, but you know, you get past some of these guys, the Aaron Hernandez's and you know, other guys that have these off, the Pouncey brothers, even all the off-field activity. If he can kind of rein that in, he was a damn good recruiter. Mm-hmm. And if you win big, you're on the biggest stage. Your recruiting is half done for you. You just got to show interest in some of these players, and they will commit to you, and the ball rolls. So that's what Alabama's done so well. Urban Meyer would have done that with Florida. So to me, at that point, that's the hate part for me, mm-hmm. is that he pulled the chute and ended up in Ohio State. Did very well in Ohio State too. But I really feel like Florida's in that Alabama conversation for an extra 8 years, whatever it is, before Bama took it back. And you know, so that's my hate.
Mm. It's funny you mentioned Saban as an NFL coach. If there's a football life that I really enjoy watching, because I kind of liked the Cleveland Browns when I was in high school, was the 90. I think it's called the 94 Cleveland Browns. That's the title of the NFL.
Remember Belichick and Saban were coaching together?
Belichick's coaching tree is very impressive, and the guys that came from that coaching realm working under him, Saban was one of them. And anyway, all that to say, if you want to watch a football life that's I found really interesting, it was the year that the Cleveland was basically, they were a Super Bowl favorite, and they ended up going 4-12 because they found out they were leaving for Baltimore the next year. It was a really interesting one. Anyways, this week that just passed, we're starting to see some of the creme de la creme rise to the top here in the NFL. The Arizona Cardinals remain undefeated, and they look really impressive in doing so, beating the LA Rams. Sorry?
I got a comment. That's Chris Couture. I know it is. He doesn't accept the thing, but praising Alabama. Love it,
Where's
by the way.
my hat? All right, Kristen.
Right here. You know where I live. You know my number.
Go get your hat. That's the one I wanted. Go get it, though. It's yours, buddy. So, very impressive win. You've been talking about Matt Stafford and LA Rams. That was, Arizona went in there and whipped their butts.
Yeah, I was wrong. I really thought that the Rams would be the team in what they've shown so far to pull that out. Now, again, the Rams just came off a pretty big win beating the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes you get up for a game, the next one is overshadowed a bit. And maybe that's what happened. But kudos to the Cards. I think I picked the Cards to do pretty well, or at least really flip the script this year. I didn't think they'd be 4-0, but the Cards are playing. Kyler Murray is fun to watch.
Next level.
His, Mighty Mouse type stride, just constant around the field. Some of the throws he makes. It's nice to see guys like AJ Green, participating in the offense. As
AJ Green, 6'3", 6'4", not a bad second option.
Not a bad second option. He's been hurt for a bunch of times, and you just haven't seen him produce.
Well, I saw enough of him in the North. I'll tell you that right now. Even prior to his injury,
for 2 years. Last years with Cincinnati, he was out quite a bit. Yeah. So you guys lucked out on that. But anyway, Arizona, hey, they look good, and I think Arizona has Seattle this weekend.
I want to. That's a game that we're going to talk about. AFC North, Cincy, Cleveland, Baltimore, all 3-1. Pittsburgh sitting at 1-3. I'm not going to go into a whole spiel. A, we don't have the time, but B, I'm just going to get myself frustrated. But for those of you who are saying this is on Ben, you're not watching the games. It's not on Ben. Has Ben lost a step? 100%. He'll be the first to tell you he's not the quarterback he was, but his arm is still fine. He made some really nice throws, and the receivers can't run any patterns. They can't run a post. They can't run a corner. They don't run sharp outs. They can't even run a sluggo. Schuster stopped running on two of those seam passes that were right in his hands.
Throwing out sluggo.
Yeah, man, run the sluggo route there, bud. He short armed it. These are plays, are chemistry plays. It's a lack of preseason games, I think, or practice with the first team units. I think that's what we're seeing here with the Steelers, and it's not on Ben. I think their receiving core is so awfully overrated. Sorry. They're not that good, including Claypool. They're just not that good. Will they develop into being good? I don't know. You are what you are. Did you see, speaking of the North, did you see what Baltimore did to Denver? 3 seconds left. The game's in hand. Baltimore has the ball. You take a knee, it's over. They're up 16. And right. It wasn't Ben's fault.
Okay.
And they ran a half sweep so Baltimore could get, I think they have this crazy streak of 100-yard rushing games, consecutive rushing games. So they ran the ball so they can get that 3 yards so they could break the 100-yard mark. Vic Fangio, the head coach of Denver, just lost it. This is what I expect from that franchise. No one's surprised by that kind of play. What are your thoughts on Baltimore just having to take a knee with 3 seconds left, a game in hand, running a sweep so they could get a few extra yards to keep the streak going?
It's dumb.
It is dumb.
The only way that I condone that kind of action is if there was a player, the running back needed 3 yards to meet his quota, which then gave him an extra $500,000.
Now you're talking.
Something like that. You say, what, I'm going for it because there's a direct, we want to help him out.
Right.
We're going to get to that. You need 10 yards catching to get your bonus. You need whatever. Fine. In a meaningless game and you're trying to get those things, hey, there is not one single person in the professional ranks who is going to knock you for trying to do that.
Right.
That being said, if this means nothing and it's just a record that you want to keep an active streak for, again, unless there's some monetary value attached to it from the owners saying, if you keep it going or whatever, otherwise it's garbage.
Yeah, total garbage. And you know what? If it was a player needing 3 yards to make, 10,000 yards for his career and he's going to leapfrog a couple of guys, you tell the coach prior to the game, hey, listen, if we get to a situation where we're up and Buddy needs 5 yards, are you okay with us running it? Like, these teams can communicate like that. And I just thought that was greasy. Chargers.
I want Jock Climby. Golfed with Jock a couple times. He apparently didn't know it, but he's 40 yards short of like 10,000 receiving yards. He said, hey,
huge milestone.
Throw the pads on and just get out there for a couple of first down catches.
There's a team in Ottawa that could use a slot receiver, I think.
Yeah, I suggested that, and he said, nobody can get the ball to me. Anyway.
Well, Chargers look for real. I thought they're starting to come into their own. I mean, hey, listen, they're divisional game against the Raiders. So they sit at 3-1, Raiders 3-1, Broncos 3-1, and the Chiefs 2-2 somehow are the last place in that division. It means nothing. I think the Chiefs will ultimately win that division.
The Washington Nationals are up 5-1 against the Sox. We all know what's going to happen. Kansas City is not finishing last in that division.
Buffalo destroyed Houston. I still think the Texans and Jags will fight for the toilet bowl after seeing, and this is the next question, what was more impressive, the Jets beating the Titans or the Giants going into New Orleans and beating the Saints?
Jets beating the Titans.
Yeah. I thought that was
the Jets
that was
in the NFL.
That was my lock.
That was also the reason.
The Pep jinx, I'm telling you. Dallas looks for real. What do you think?
I wouldn't go for real. They looked better.
Atlanta just can't win a close game ever since the Super Bowl. What is that franchise snake bitten or what's the deal?
Yeah, they are snake. Picture, what's the owner's name? Jim, whatever.
Oh, poor guy. He looks so sad.
Him holding his girlfriend's hand. Watch.
That's so perfect. That's so perfect.
Yeah, they're 100% jinxed at that point.
All right, let's get into really quickly the last segment here. Just some notable games for this week, and maybe I'll ask your opinion on who you think is going to win. I was going to get into the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are a little bit overrated, personally. I think they're a lot older, and they're going to start showing their age as the season goes on. Rams Seahawks, huge game. If the Rams lose, they go 3-2, and suddenly they're kind of back to Matt Stafford world. Being 500 or whatever. Who do you got in this game?
I mean, it should be a bounce back, but it's in Seattle. And
Seahawks.
I don't bet against Seattle when they're at home.
Coming off a big win against the Niners.
Russell Wilson at home. Now, Trey Lance looked pretty good in that 49ers game, and maybe they win that game if he starts the whole thing. I'm curious to see what's going to be happening there, but that's going to be tough. Russell Wilson is also very good, and I think, I don't know, it's hard to take anybody against Seattle when you're in Seattle. So I'll take Seattle. I'm going to think Seattle's on there. Rams are -2.5, so it's going to be a tight game.
I got Seattle winning that game, and I got the Rams kind of coming back to earth after going 3-0. And
is that your novelty? Lock? I just want to know on the Rams.
That is not my lock.
Okay.
That is not my lock. I have a couple locks I can mention later. Buffalo and KC. In KC
on those airs, I'll usually go for the home team. So I'm going to take KC. I mean, Buffalo looks good, but again, KC has more urgency to win right now than the Bills do.
Well, I think this is a battle of the teams that are going to represent the AFC in the championship game. Myself, Josh Gordon, they just signed him, and they just elevated him from the practice squad. So he's probably going to get some reps. We'll see what happens
KC,
there.
Right?
That's KC, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be playing. So if Tyreek is the wide, he's going to be playing decoy is what he's going to be doing. Perfect. Sounds good.
Browns at Chargers. This is a really nice game. If the Buffalo KC game's 1A or 1. This has got to be 1A. What do you think? Who you got in the Browns at Chargers?
Chargers will look pretty good. Again, that's hard. Although
Browns just squeaked out a win in Minnesota.
I'm gonna take the Browns.
I like the Browns because they can control. Well, they can control the clock, and that's exactly what they did against Minnesota. They won 14-7 in Mini, and their defense was all over the place. I mean, that's a good defense in Cleveland. So we're going to see just how good Mr. Herbert is, I think. Green Bay at Cincy.
Green Bay.
I think it's a trap game for if this could possibly be a trap game for an underdog. But I think Cincy comes in and loses. I think Green Bay is going to take this one on the road. And then we've got, here's Denver at Pitt. I think the Boobers will come out early if Pitt can't move the ball, and it could get ugly. This is a must-win for Pitt. They can't. If they go 1-4, we're going to start talking about the backup QB. If they go 2-3, they got 3 of the next 4 at home. They can kind of dig out a little bit here. But if they go 1-4, it's big trouble. So who do you got? Denver versus Pitt in Pitt. Teddy Bridgewater concussed. Questionable.
That's the only thing that is providing any hesitation in terms of who I'm picking. If he's out, I'll take the Steelers at home. Again, it's an urgent
boy.
Yeah, hey, I hope there's a jinx involved. The basement breakfast bowl, who you got? Jets or Falcons? This is at 9:30 a.m. because it's one of those games overseas.
Who's that? Sorry? The Jets and Falcons?
And Falcons.
Oh, what a stinker.
Hey, you're eating your Frosted Flakes and you're watching this game at 9:30 in the morning. You're excited the football's on, and then you realize, this is not really great football.
Well, I don't know.
-3, 2 1-3 teams. Matt Ryan on his way out. Zach Wilson in, but is he on his way up? I don't know.
I got the Falcons in that one just because I feel so bad for them. That's just it's so tough to watch them.
Yeah. I'll take the Falcons as well. I just think the Jets are just bad. Even though they beat Tennessee, I think they're bad.
I'm going to give you my quick lock of the week here once I find the schedule. Here it is.
All right. So if anybody wagers money on these games, so I know at least one guy who's watching is a gambler. If Pep locks something down,
take the opposite.
Bet against it. Who you got?
Right. I just pulled up the schedule here. Where is this thing here? Okay, here we go. Lock of the week. Oof. My lock of the week. I'm gonna go with the Titans against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Titans come out. That's my lock this week. After losing to the Jets on the road, they're gonna go to Jacksonville and beat a hot mess tire fire right now with all the chaos and the drama. I think Jacksonville is distracted. I think Tennessee's, pardon my language, pissed off. They played this game without Julio Jones and the other outside receiver. My lock of the week is Tennessee again, back-to-back weeks.
What did Tennessee do to you? Do you have a friend who's a Tennessee fan? Are you doing this on purpose?
Dude, I like their offense. I like the fact that they run the ball first. I'm an old school guy. I like that. I like their offense. I like what they do. If they had any kind of weaponry on the outside, they would have beaten the Jets, but they didn't. So they couldn't throw the ball against the Jets. It was sad.
Well, they had 2 pretty key injuries.
Yeah. So if one of those 2 guys is back, that's my lock of the week. Sorry, Jacksonville. Tire fire.
All right. So Jacksonville gets their first dub.
And who's your what? Wait a second. And
you're back. If I'm gonna lock it, I think I'm gonna lock it. It's easy to go like Patriots against the Texans because the Texans are horrible, but I think I'm going to take the Cowboys against the Giants. I think I'm going to lock the Cowboys in.
Interesting.
That'll be my lock at 4:25 p.m. on Sunday.
Thoroughly unimpressed with the New England Patriots offense. They're sitting at 1-3 now. I know they had some tough games, but Mac Jones does not look good. Happy feet.
Give him some time. I think he's going to be fine. I think that system is going to cater to him. He's going to figure out his identity. They're going to start to put things together, get a couple other pieces. But in the meantime, it's going to be a rough season for them. All right. I think that's it. We're just
Raptors,
over
baby.
an hour. The Raptors. What's that?
Ooh, they look good.
Why, they're playing already?
They had their first preseason game against Philly yesterday, and they won by 20. And it's nice that they have a home. The same thing as the Jays. They played half a season last year with no home. They're back home. They're uber talented. Lots of wingspan. They're going to be fun to watch, folks. Mark my words, they're going to be top 5 team in the East.
I love it when you say "mark my words" and you get all digital. Mark my words, and then you're off. We heard it. We heard it. We don't have to say it again. It's too soon for hockey and basketball. Football's just getting going. It is too soon, but that's it. Jays are out. We are moving into week 5 of the NFL. Tune in next week, and we'll see what sad music we have for you then to see what happens. But in the meantime, we're going back out to this. It's going to be just a little bit longer, but this is the song we're going out to. We missed the Jays already. Thanks for tuning in.
Love you, boys.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.